TH fronting. This is something that I did not know existed before moving to the UK, at least not really thoroughly or deeply. So TH fronting is a kind of like dialect thing that some British people do where they pronounce TH sounds as an F. So instead of saying brother, they say brother. Or like instead of saying thing, they say fing. Instead of three, it's free. That kind of thing. And this is something that came as a surprise to me. I mean, at first I was kind of like, why do people keep mispronouncing certain words? But then I realized there's a common thread and it's actually a thing. And I think primarily people in the southeast of England do it, but it does exist in other parts of the country or of the UK, according to a Babbel article that I found. This is part 2 of my things I didn't know about the UK before moving here video series. Along with the TH fronting thing, I will be listing a few things about the UK that surprised me or that I didn't know at all about before moving here. But yeah, going back to the TH fronting thing, I think I first heard it on YouTube actually. I was like watching a YouTube channel of British people and I think they said like free instead of three, and then I was like, that threw me off, and then I discovered it's a whole, you know, dialect thing. And yeah, now I'm watching Love Island and I'm hearing it again. I watch Love Island purely for like the cultural exposure. I know it's not like the smartest show and it's not really meant for that, but I love all the variety of accents that you hear on the show, and I love just like, I don't know, you discover like different towns in the UK because everyone's from like different parts of the country. And, you know, I thought I knew what like a general Irish accent was, but Catherine on this season had, you know, she pronounces, actually, this is interesting, she pronounces thing like ting. So she doesn't even do the TH, she just does ting, which is interesting. And she's from Dublin, I believe. So yeah, there's just like certain things, like every season that I watch, I like learn new things about British culture, or British slang, or, you know, it's interesting for me in that regard. So that's one of the main reasons I watch Love Island. But anyway, let's move on to the second thing on my list. So the second thing is, oh yeah, pub culture. So in the UK, like obviously I knew about pub culture, but I didn't know that it's quite common to like, I don't want to say common, but it's normal, I guess, to spend hours and hours at a pub. Like, you know, when you go to like a bar in the US or you go out for a drink, it's like at night usually, and you go for maybe like an hour or so before you move on to a new place. But in the UK, I've noticed that people are perfectly content just like sitting at one pub for hours, like from like midday to evening sometimes, especially on like Sunday, because on Sunday you have Sunday roast, which is like basically a Thanksgiving dinner that you have on Sundays. I know I might get flack for saying that, but basically it's just like roasted meat, roasted veg, and you get like a Yorkshire pudding, which is a completely different thing. It doesn't exist in the States, but it's just like a huge meal that pubs serve on Sundays. And obviously families do it too at home, but it's a thing at the pub. So yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I like it because it's like, you know, a lot of pubs are very cozy and a lot of them have outdoor seating. Even in London, there's like, I would say, especially if you're outside of central London, like the majority of pubs I feel have some sort of outdoor seating. I don't know, I mean, it perpetuates drinking culture, which isn't great, but I feel like pubs are more than just like watering holes. Like they are like community, cozy, family friendly, like they're just a vibe, you know? So yeah, it's a fun aspect of British culture. Number 3 is that the postcodes here are insanely accurate, like to the point where sometimes you don't even need to hear the whole address. All you need is the postcode to know where someone lives, because it's literally the building. Like the postcode indicates what building you are in. It's crazy. You could just say your postcode. Like if you go in a taxi, you could just put in your postcode and then it'll get you there. Or like if you're getting something delivered, you just put in your postcode. Like, it actually makes delivering really easy because a lot of sites are adapted so that you just type in your postcode and then a drop-down list of possible addresses come up, which is really easy. I feel like that definitely doesn't exist in Japan. I don't remember that existing in the States, because in the States and Japan, the postcode is more generic. It's more like an area rather than like a specific building. So, and also you don't call it postcode, you call it a zip code in the States. It's another subtle difference. But yeah, that's something that I think is pretty handy. It's pretty convenient that the postcodes here are just so specific. And then the last thing that I'll mention in this video is the hen-do/stag do culture. And the hen-do/stag do is basically the British equivalent of bachelor and bachelorette, or bachelorette and bachelor, because the hen do is the bachelorette version and then stag do is for bachelors. Anyway, sorry, that was long-winded. Yeah, I think like Americans take hen do's and stag do's, or bachelor and bachelorette, really seriously, but in the UK it's like almost to another level, because people, like, especially on stag do's, people just like go crazy and they're wearing like costumes. Like, if you go to the airport, you can immediately tell a British group of stag do goers, because like they will be like wearing wigs, they'll be wearing like something really weird, and they'll be drunk. Another thing that's really common in the UK in stag do's that I think is slightly different from bachelors, although I don't really know that much about what people do at bachelor parties in the US, but like the men here will like put pranks on or like roast the groom, or like pretty much like joke around a lot. And I think it's just part of like British humor. I feel like even at the wedding, I think it's customary for the groom to get roasted by like a family member. And yeah, I just think it's just part of like the overall like dry humor aspect of British culture. But yeah, overall, I would say like the bachelor and hen do are more similar than the stag do and bachelor. Like, I just feel like the stag do's here are like way crazier than any bachelor in the US. Like, they just take it to a whole nother level. I hope you guys enjoyed part 2 of my things I didn't know about the UK. If you missed part 1, I will put it here so you can go and watch that if you're interested in my thoughts about British culture from an American's perspective. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. And if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Give it a like, comment what you thought, comment any ideas for future videos if you want me to cover anything else. And I will see you in my next video. Bye.